So how do we, in brotherly love, tenderly loving towards one another, in appreciation, giving preference to each other, how do we do that without hypocrisy? See, some of us struggle, and I mentioned this a little while back, but some of us really struggle with this idea of selfless versus selfish. And what I mean by that is you can look like you're preferring somebody else, but if you're doing it because it's what you want, the way you want, but you're doing it for them, at least you think you are. But I've said often, if you don't ask the question, is this what you want? And also give them the freedom to say no, because a lot of people will say yes because they don't want to start a fight or offend you. And so so you say, oh, I did ask them. And they said yes. But you have to give them the freedom to say no. You have to tell them it's okay if you don't want this. Because people are so sensitive, and they know that we're dealing with human beings that are so sensitive, they know that it's dangerous to say no. Because somebody may be offended. Because they're afraid if they say no to you, you may be offended. So they say yes. And they let you do stuff for them that they really didn't want, or do the thing that they did want but let you do it the way you wanted. So we got to be careful when it says preference to the other. That means find out their preference. Okay? Husbands, wives, parents with children, friends, etc. If you're really doing this, you must find out what they actually want. Okay, we've had that problem in this ministry consistently since the beginning. People would come in the ministry, tell me that they're totally bought into the vision that I have, but then they start doing it their way. And then I would say, you're not doing my vision. They would argue with you. Oh, yes, we are. I said, no, you're doing your version of my vision. And I don't want anybody to think they know who I'm talking about, because I'm talking about lots of different people over 20 years, okay? But you can have that same problem with a husband and a wife, with a parent and a child, with an employer and an employee, where you have to make sure that you're actually showing preference to the other by finding out what they actually prefer. Is this what you want? But you have to always make sure that you've conveyed they have the freedom to say anything. Well, really, that's not what I want. Because I've done that to some people, and they get all offended. Well, I don't like that at all. Really? No. Oh, but I got it for you. I don't know where you got it from, that's what I wanted, but you know. And so that's very challenging. You know, I try to live this out at least some of the time, so I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it, but I'll give you an example. Like, for example, I know that there's a tradition when you get married that the man buys the engagement ring or buys the wedding, buys the ring, you know, for the woman. There wasn't a prayer in wherever that I was going to do that for my wife. I was going to make sure she picked it out. Why would I think I would know what she's going to want to have on her finger the rest of her life? Right? No, I was the one buying it, but I wasn't going to go buy one and bring it to her. Because then she's going to sit there going, I don't know. Now, I may have got it right, you never know, but why would I want to risk that? Why not just do the more simple thing? I want to get you an engagement ring, and I want you to pick it out. I'll get you whatever you want, within this budget or whatever it is, right? Then she gets what she wants. And wives, you can do the same thing with your husbands, you know. You know, you want to get them an anniversary gift or some other type of gift, you may want to find out what they want. I've gotten a few that I didn't from people that have gotten me gifts, you know. And because they never made the effort to find out. Look, it's great to get a surprise. Hey, I want to surprise you with a gift. Well, it doesn't go over so well if it's something the person doesn't like, doesn't want, or some other thing. Because then they have to sit there smiling in a phony smile going, thank you. But you really can't, this verse that we're talking about here, you really can't do if you don't know your brother. If you don't know the person we're talking about. It says, in appreciation, giving preference to each other. How can you give preference if you don't know what their preferences are? You got to get to know each other. That's a loving thing, to get to know each other. And by the way, if you get to know each other, then you should also be much, much, much more prepared for any kind of lashon hara that may come around you about that person, because you know if it's true or not. When that person starts spreading some, false whatever, and you say, no, I know that person, that's not true. I'm sure that's not true, because you know them. But the question is, do you think you know them or do you actually know them? You have to make an effort to actually get to know somebody. And not everybody, well, I'll rephrase that. Just about most everybody is not free about just sharing who they really are to you when you first get to know them. It takes a while. We have a lot of barriers that we put before we show who we really are to most people.